It's a love-hate. People who hate it say it tastes like wet, dirty socks, chlorine, seaweed, tar, burnt rubber, Band-Aids, iodine.
Sold.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. And I get the iodine and the Band-Aids and the
Burnt frogs?
sulfur.
Welcome to the Wilderness Wavelength Podcast.
We are live from the backyard. Fire in the backyard tonight, too. I'm your host, George. Co-host, Scott Sunderwald.
Hello, everybody.
This is going to be a fun episode. We did a Scotch tasting one. It's been a few months now.
It was back in January. It was sort of broader whiskeys.
Yeah.
This is more focused on Scotch tonight.
More Scotch. Yeah. The Scotch expert. I used to work with Andrew. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. And Chris also here. Chris.
Hello.
Yeah. Ex-co-workers. Actually, was it 2 years ago? Maybe 2.5 years ago. Andrew and I were out here working on Canadian Tire. I was living in Edmonton, and at the time, I was looking to move to the mountains. And I was kind of thinking Rocky Mountain House area. And we came out here for 2 weeks, and I was like, I could see myself living in Hinton. And then 3 months later, Andrew, I got a job out in Hinton. I'm going out to Hinton. So yeah, it's been good. And you guys are back out here doing electrical stuff.
Yeah, same Canadian Tire.
Yeah.
We're actually fixing your stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. How's the stuff that we put together 2 years ago, Andrew? Is it still holding?
That stuff's all still working good.
Good. Yeah. Okay, as long as that's going along, then I'm happy. Left a little bit of a legacy. So we got a table filled with Scotch tonight. And Andrew, let's start with one. Let's start sipping on one, and then let's chat about your collection a bit. What do you recommend starting with? We got some Bowmore. We got some... What'd you bring, Scott?
I brought some Singleton and Lafroig, two opposite ends of the spectrum. We could start light and go heavier if you want.
Yeah, I was going to say it's either start with the Singleton or the Glenmorangie.
Yeah, Singleton might be the lightest one here. This is a very drinkable Scotch.
Yeah.
I looked up some notes here because I always get a kick out of this stuff. So when we sip it, why don't we get some pouring going here? And we're looking at notes of honey, cheesecake, nutty flavor, biscuits, chocolate, pear, apple juice, vanilla, and toasty oak. So, I'll be curious to see. But, very light, very drinkable. Like I said, we'll start light and get a little heavier.
Yeah.
So,
It smells like... I smell cheesecake. Is that what that is?
There was cheesecake in there, yeah. Honey, cheesecake, biscuits, chocolate, pear, apple juice, vanilla, and toasty oak.
Do you read the notes, Andrew, like tasting notes when you're...
Not usually, because I find... Well, not first.
Yeah.
Because I find if you start to read them first, then if it suggests cherry and butterscotch, that's what you're going to get.
Oh, I see.
I tend to like to go in blind the first time.
Yeah.
And see what I get, and then compare later.
Okay.
If I feel like it.
Yeah.
I get the apple juice, and to me it just drops off at the end. There's no lingering taste, which I find a little bit boring, but it's a hot summer day Scotch.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see myself sipping this around the campfire while listening to some birds chirp in the background.
This is definitely pretty drinkable for me, too, as a rookie to this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your experience with Scotch then, Chris?
Honestly, with Scotch, very little. Mostly what Andrew's given me.
Yeah.
or what I've just tried at someone else's place who's recommended it. Lafroig I've actually got a little bit of experience with, but only in 2 encounters I can think of. Typically I use... as far as whiskeys go, I've always just been a bourbon or Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
So,
this could almost be an Irish whiskey.
That's
I'd have a hard time telling the difference if somebody did a blindfold test on there.
I'm not gonna lie, I actually kind of like it a little bit more than the Redbreast bottle I got sitting at home right now.
Oh, yeah?
So I definitely enjoy this one.
Yeah, because Irish whiskeys are often described as Scotch light.
Well. The big difference with Irish to Scotch, the Irish or Ireland taxed malted barley. you have to have the malted barley to have the enzyme to break down the sugars to make alcohol. So that's what they taxed. So Ireland dropped the amount of malted barley to like 5-6%, and everything else is unmalted or other grains. Whereas Scotch is 100% malted barley. That's the only thing you can use. So they got a couple extra grains in there.
I like it, man. This guy's a walking encyclopedia.
Oh yeah, yeah. Andrew, tell us about your collection.
We currently we're in the process of doing a inventory. So we're somewhere between 700 and 900. I think we're down from our peak of 1,000-ish unopened bottles.
Unopened bottle. 900 unopened bottles in your house, Scott.
Yep.
How long did that last?
Oh, man.
I can't. Like literally, we worked it out to have a dram a day would take us something like 140 years to finish the collection.
Wow.
Like and the liver wouldn't handle it. Like it's not. Yeah.
So everybody speaks about a dram. How does it compare to an ounce?
A dram technically has no volume level. It's because it's just the name for a glass, but you're
Just a
usually
wee
somewhere
dram.
around 3-4 ounce. Like it's a full.
Oh, gee.
Yeah,
That's
like
bigger
it's
than I
it's
thought.
it's
Okay.
a full glass. Like it's
So when they say a wee dram, it's...
a wee dram.
Yeah.
Where they're going to go through, you're going to be ounce and a half.
Okay. Just a shot
But
glass,
usually
yeah.
you're going to have, like, if you're sitting around northern Scotland in the Highlands out at a fire, you're going to pour 1 dram, like a 4 ounce glass, sit around a fire and sip that for 3, 4, 5 hours.
Yeah, yeah. And folks, this is the Wilderness Wavelength podcast. We focus on wilderness. So you might be saying to yourself, what's the Scotch got to do with it? And George is going to tell us.
Yeah, so Scotch is... I remember this last time we did the Scotch episode. Easy to haul into the wilderness. Not going to freeze on you.
You got
quickly.
it. Yeah.
Easier to haul than a case of Budweiser for sure.
Yeah.
And medicinal.
Always medicinal.
Yeah.
Yeah, helps you go to sleep. You can
Yeah.
purify your wounds.
Yeah.
It's better than iodine. I'm actually going on a canoe trip this weekend. And,
Oh, nice.
You know, I mean, on a canoe, you can haul some beer along. But if you're backpacking, you're not taking a 2-4 up the mountain. So a nice bottle of Scotch. Yeah. It's well deserved by the evening.
What are you guys going to do with the 900 unopened bottles then? What's the plan?
Well, some of them we're probably going to sell and all the rest, but we run a couple of different Scotch groups, and we do different tastings and all the rest to share them, as Scotch is supposed to be shared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild. What's the... I'm curious, like, I don't know if you can quantify it, but do you have one that's the most valuable? That, like, stands out?
Well, we've got a couple of 40, 50-year-old Port Ellens that are in the area of probably the 9,000 to 15,000
Wow.
range.
Good grief.
For a bottle.
For a bottle.
Yeah.
We did not pay 9,000 for it. Like, for example, one through there that was looking at Ardbog, which is an Ardbeg from 2012.
Yeah.
I think, from Ardbog Day. It was $90, $80, something like that when we bought it.
Yeah.
It's now currently some places are selling it for $7,000.
Wow.
So the return on investment is good if you get the right bottles
Yeah.
And not drink them.
and not drink them.
Yeah, that's the trick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be tempted, after a few drinks, like, let's crack that 9,000 one
Which-
tonight, eh?
Which has been done.
Yeah.
The big difference that I find for it, if you're going to have the collection, and it's simple to grow, it's just if you normally open 3 bottles a month,
Yeah.
buy 10.
Right.
It's very quickly you go up. And
Yeah.
the way that it started for us is way back in the day, we were buying Brookalotti had one Waves, Rocks, and Peat.
Okay.
It was a set of collections. So one was peated, one was unpeated, and one was lightly peated. And we kept going to the store, thinking that it was like beer or vodka, that it's always there.
Yeah.
And eventually we walked into the store and it's like, oh, no, it's limited edition. When what came out of that barrel, what they made, what they bottled, when it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, so now if you like something,
Buy 10 bottles.
you've got to go back and buy a whole bunch more, because when it's gone, it's gone.
Scott, what are you pouring now? What's this one?
This is your bottle of Glenmorangie. Do you have some notes on that, or we read them?
I didn't Google the notes on that one. I could.
It is port finish.
So what does that mean?
Basically, when you age it,
Yeah.
you make your new make and you put it into a barrel. And if you, for example, the Singleton was put into an ex-bourbon barrel, and most of them are ex-bourbon, because the rule is for bourbon it has to be virgin oak, so it can't be used anything else before. So when they get rid of the old bourbon barrels, they sell it over to Scotland or anywhere else to reuse them.
Yeah.
And I found that quite shocking, actually. I was reading up on Scotch here again today, and I think they said something to the effect of 90% of Scotches are aged in bourbon barrels, which, American bourbon, and the Scottish are very protective of their trade. The fact that they're importing all these barrels from the States to age their whiskey, I found quite interesting.
Well, because Scotland says you can reuse a barrel, you don't have to be brand new, and the U.S., in order to protect after Prohibition, in order to protect the Coopers and the soft or the hardwood, they said that you have to use brand new virgin barrels.
Okay.
So Scotland being cheap, hey, we will buy your barrels and just keep reusing them.
Yeah. So the Glenmorangie always has a bit of a pinkish hue to it. That must be the port.
That's the port.
That's port in there.
Citrusy?
Mm-hmm.
Also very drinkable, very fruity to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting into the Christmas cake, Christmas fruits.
Okay.
Yeah, I should probably note most of the whiskeys that I like to drink. I tend to like cocktails. Like I love a good whiskey sour.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorites. And like the first couple are kind of like, they're very drinkable. There's something that I might actually turn into.
Yeah.
Like I might actually use for probably an expensive cocktail. But yeah, they're just good straight up.
Yeah.
I definitely drink this too.
Is it heartbreaking when you see someone pour Coke into something like this?
No.
You okay with that?
Once you've bought it, all the rest, it's yours. You want to put Coke into it, you want to go through and go for it.
We're talking cocktails, not highballs there.
Yeah.
But thanks.
But one, if you haven't had it yet, cocktail I would highly recommend is a penicillin. Try that one of the times you're out.
What's that one?
That is usually it's a bourbon, or it's a light Scotch, but it also has a peated Scotch on it. It's a stacked cocktail. It is very nice. It's my favorite cocktail with Scotch.
We are going to incorporate some wilderness stuff into this podcast too, Scott.
Yeah. We can segue between wilderness stuff and Scotch. I think that's the way it should be.
Sure.
Yeah. And for me, if I'm going hot tenting or sleeping in a lean-to, you're sitting by the fire, you've got time to kill.
Yeah.
Nice bottle of Scotch, some good conversation.
Yeah.
So we got near-death experiences to talk about. We got would you rathers and most embarrassing moments. What do you guys want to dive into first?
Let's do a would you rather. That's always a good one. You got a good one?
I think I do. Yeah. Would you rather have to do a job interview drunk or play a competitive game of baseball drunk?
Define competitive. Are we talking Edson softball tournament?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's call it Edson softball tournament. None of us are going to be professionals, right?
Yeah.
Well, 100% I would do the Edson softball tournament drunk, as I have.
You
in the
fit
past.
right in. Yeah.
You're like, that's how I always do it.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you play better that way?
No.
Okay, with a little edge?
I'd say so. I definitely had more fun.
Because I find things like bowling and darts, and I actually get a little bit better, just a little edge. which is
Yeah, there's a
interesting.
fine line between the perfect spot and then you have one more drink. And
Yeah.
I lost my
lost the edge.
Yeah, I've always been bad with that line, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, how about you, George?
I'm thinking, I think I'm with Chris on that one. A job interview, I think it'd be fun, but if I actually wanted the job and I was trying, that might not work over very good for me.
That was kind of my thought. It'd be like if I wanted the job interview, then I'd go for the softball. If I didn't,
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
I got a funny story about this because I was in college. We were doing Fish and Wildlife, and we were just about graduating, so we're all trying to get job interviews. And my Norwegian buddy had applied for a conservation officer job in BC. And we went to, it was called the Sack there at BCIT. It was the pub, and had one too many and stumbled back to the dorm. And we're lying on the floor, and his phone rings. He picks it up, and it's the job interview.
Oh, wow.
And it just sort of unsolicited, and I'm just laughing my face off because he's stumbling through this job interview after coming back from the Sack, and he got the job, so he held it together. Yeah,
I feel like that would be a good job interview, though. Like, okay, rather than, doing a Zoom call or sitting across the conference table, it's like, hey, let's go have some drinks and chat. I think that'd be a good way to get to know somebody. What are you thinking, Andrew?
Yeah, I think it definitely would be a good way to get to know somebody. All the rest, sit down in a pub or sit around a fire and have a couple of drinks.
That's the interview. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're hired. I like it.
There you go. Get to know the real person.
Okay, I got a good would you rather too. Would you rather be constantly followed by a squirrel who wants your food, or a flock of birds who thinks your hat is a nest? Squirrel always following you.
Squirrel,
Yeah?
hardcore squirrel than a flock of birds.
Yeah, I'm going with the squirrel too because I'm going to eat that squirrel on
Oh
surviving
yeah,
trips.
yeah.
There's a bonus to it.
You could eat the flock of birds though as well.
Yeah, you could. It'd just be. Have you seen Hitchcock? The birds pecking your eyes out and stuff. Yeah.
Maybe they're like friendly birds though, like house sparrows or something, and they're just like constantly landing on you. Squirrel, you going squirrel then?
I gotta say squirrel because all I can really think of is like the crap from birds.
Yeah,
And I don't want that on my hat.
that's a good point too. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Now that you brought, I was gonna go birds, but now getting pooped on all the time, not fun either. Okay, I'm going squirrel as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, let's try another scotch.
All right. What do we got there, Andrew? I think we're starting easy, and we're going.
Go this guy.
We're
So
going
Andrew's
more
got these
flavorful.
like medicine bottles he brings.
Yeah, this is his penicillin bottles
This-
he was talking about.
When we were working out here last time, Andrew brought this too.
Okay.
Is this from the $9,000 bottle?
No.
This is, at the time it was Victoria Caledonia, so this is not Scotch. This is Canadian.
Okay.
My wife and I bought 2 casks. One was aged in Aix-Laphroaig, and one was aged in a port pipe.
Smells
And then
fantastic.
we married the 2 together after 4.5 years.
So you half made this then?
Yes.
Wow.
It's got a bourbony smooth taste.
Oh,
to
yeah.
it. Yeah. That's pretty nice. Yeah, if
Now, it is also cask strength to let you know, so it is 55.2%.
yeah, I'm feeling that at the end, but it's quite smooth.
Yeah.
I would have guessed this was a bourbon if you would have just handed it to me.
Yeah. What it's an ex-bourbon. Half of the mix is an ex-bourbon barrel that was, if I remember correctly, no, I'm not even going to say because I cannot remember which distillery it was down in the States, but it was shipped over to Scotland. It held Laphroaig,
Yeah.
and then after Laphroaig, it went to Victoria, and it was filled with new make out of there as Canadian.
Wow. Yeah.
Do you do much experimenting like this kind of stuff then, or?
We try to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
55%. Wow.
Yeah.
It comes off pretty smooth for that, actually. There's a bit of bite at the end,
A little bit.
in the back of the throat, but yeah.
That's pretty much what I'm getting from it. The taste that I had is
Yeah.
it's got a bit of kick to it.
Do you have a favorite go-to? Like you go to the liquor store, like something that would be like a regular, like
A
if someone's
regular,
listening
I
to
always
this-
have, which we do have here tonight, I always have a bottle of Lefroy Quarter Cask open and running. And then after that, I tend to also have a Dewar's white label as a blend.
Oh,
just
wow.
because
Yeah.
once you've had 2 or 3 drinks of your expensive, high point, bold flavors,
Yeah.
if you're going back for a 3rd, 4th drink, it really doesn't matter what it is. It's
So
like if you have
the Dewar's is cleaning your palate at that point.
yeah. Or it's along the lines of if you're going through and you're starting off to drink like your high-end craft beer at $15 a can, by your 4th or 5th can, it's no problem to just start cracking Lucky.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter for the craft
That's right.
anymore.
We have a homebrew club, and the best trick is put your bottle last of the night, and everyone's going to think it's the
Yep.
best
Oh,
bottle
exactly,
that was
yeah.
brought. Yeah.
Yeah, it usually is that way.
I got to get another Would You Rather here.
Okay.
This one's getting a little philosophical. Would you rather die peacefully in your sleep after a boring life at age 99, or die at age 60 in a legendary accident and be remembered forevermore? You going out with a blaze of glory, or just quietly in your sleep?
But 40 extra years.
Boring life. Yeah, it's quality over quantity, I guess, is the question.
Well, I'm only 20 years from 60, so like I kind of don't want to go, but I don't know. I got no kids or anything else like that, so I feel like blaze of glory is probably the way I would go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the glory you would be doing? Like, what's your
legendary accident?
Yeah, what are you doing to
Wrestling a grizzly?
At my current, with my current career path and the way everything's going,
Yeah.
it's either going to be on holiday somewhere, right, like in some foreign country,
Yeah.
or it's going to be due to some electrical mishap, which I don't know if it's a blaze of
that
glory,
could be
but
a
I don't
blaze
think
of glory.
it's in the same sense.
A shock of glory. I like it.
Yeah, falling into a 600 panel.
I do have pretty long hair, so it'll definitely be a blaze, I think. But
Yeah. Interesting. How about you, Andrew?
I'd probably end up having to say the 60 for the blaze of glory as well, just because unless at 59 you can switch to boring.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of difficult to say like boring life when already been through Bosnia, Afghanistan, Iraq, all the rest is seen too much stuff to call it boring.
That's right.
Andrew's had an interesting career.
That sounds like
Like
it.
used to
Jeez.
be like a jet pilot or jet
Aircraft mechanic.
Mechanic, yeah.
Yeah, not a pilot.
Like that's yeah, I mean there's some experiences there. I don't know if we'll get into them on this episode, but
Yeah, we definitely should.
yeah. Can you tell us a bit about working on aircraft?
Oh, working on aircraft is the same as working on any other mechanical electronic item, being a car. Like the actual job of fixing it
Yeah.
is the same. It's more of the fact of where you're fixing it and why.
What's the coolest spot you fixed airplane on?
I don't know. I've fixed helicopters in the middle of the Red Desert in Afghanistan. I've done to fighters in Erbil, Iraq.
Yeah.
Went to Kuwait for a bunch. Did a stint in Bosnia with the Bell 412s. So,
hey, Drew, why don't you tell them about when you joined the $1 Million Club?
oh,
What's
yeah.
the $1 Million Club?
$1 Million Club is when you screw up hard and you wreck something worth over $1 million.
Oh jeez.
So I was a young apprentice on the Dash 8s in Winnipeg, 402 Squadron, and one of my bosses tried to tell me, like, hey, just change the radar. All you got to do is just pop the thing out, pop this little handle, throw it in your shoulder, and run it in the on the deck. I go over onto the supply shelf, not telling me that the actual radar receiver was like 600 pounds. So I slid the thing out, popped the handles, and it fell.
Yeah.
And it destroyed it. And it
Oh,
was like,
boy.
whatever, $1.3 million worth of radar gone.
Yeah.
And it's now I got to tell the boss that it's like, yeah.
Hey, remember that thing?
Wow.
It's completely broken.
How did your boss react?
If it was a civvy job, all the rest of stuff, like the couple of times I broke stuff for the boss, now it's like you call up and you think it's like, okay, I'm done. I'm fired. I'm going to jail. I'm something. Like I'm through there. They're like, oh, things happen.
Yeah.
Well, you're
Oh,
making me
okay.
feel better because I burned out a lawnmower when I was 19 on a job because I didn't check the oil and I was scared to talk to the boss. But yeah, that wasn't $1 million.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
$1 million one.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. Yeah, dying at age 60, man, that's only 6 years for me.
Yeah.
But I got to go out and blaze of glory.
Yeah.
I want to die with my boots on, not in a hospital bed.
Attacked by a grizzly bear that's running at 22
Yeah, as
feet
long
per
as he does a
second.
quick job of it. I don't want, my face peeled off and have to walk 20 miles and bleed to death. But if it's quick,
Yeah. Yeah, when you put it that way, it doesn't sound great, but
yeah, awesome. Got one more would you rather here.
yeah.
This kind of fits with this. How much was that expensive bottle of Scotch? 9,000?
Yeah, probably our top one to be floating somewhere around 9 to 12,000.
Okay, we're gonna go. Would you rather sip $9,000 bottle of Scotch stuck in a boring conversation, unlike tonight, obviously, or drink cheap whiskey?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go bottom shelf, Royal Reserve, or whatever your gut rot whiskey is. But you're serenaded by your favorite band.
Oh, wow.
So
the $9,000 bottle, or
I
the
gotta
Eagles
go-
are playing, or
I got to
whatever.
go cheap with
Yeah, who's
with
playing?
who you're with. I'd actually go back in the day when Gordy was still alive and say the Hip.
The Hip. Yeah.
You know, if I could do a backyard drinking rot gut, and the Hip is right there with
Yeah.
like 10 people in the back.
New Orleans
done,
is sinking. Yeah.
done. Like hard, because the biggest thing I've found with whiskey, it's more who you're with and the atmosphere than what it is that you're drinking.
So the $9,000 bottle.
Yeah,
ain't
I
worth
mean,
it.
you can crack a $9,000 bottle. It's, to me, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But who you're with makes a difference.
I've never had the $9,000 whiskey, so I can't say. But I think I'm going also with the cheap whiskey and a band.
Yeah, which band's playing?
I'd love to see the Eagles.
Eagles, yeah.
Yeah. Seven Bridges Road, Desperado, some of the classics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Chris, what are you choosing?
That's a hard one because the band, they're both epic moments, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm never gonna drink a
That's true.
$9,000 Scotch,
Yeah.
right, or pop one unless Drew decides to pop a bottle of
Party!
Scotch for us,
Yeah,
right?
we're going to have you back.
Yeah, but I don't feel like it's unfair because I'm actually enjoying this conversation. But as far as bands go, I would definitely drink Rot Gut like I usually do.
Yeah,
And,
what's your band?
my band would actually be Metallica. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like that would
Oh,
be
yeah.
a great
Wow.
show in addition to being serenaded as well.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah. I'm on the same page as you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
The $9,000 bottle would be great, but yeah, I'm accustomed to cheap whiskey and band playing. I'm trying to think which band it would be now. Like you guys all have like great choices. I keep thinking the Doors, but I got to go back in time a bit for that one.
Oh, the Doors would be good.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think that's wrong. Gordy's coming back, so
Okay,
Yeah.
Gordy's back. Jim Morrison's back. Perfect. Imagine that show.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Well, that's great. We got another Scotch here to try. What do you got in the mystery bottle, or is that waiting for later?
This is Classic Laddie.
Okay.
So
I don't think I've had that one.
Oh, okay. It's Bricklotti's Classic Laddie. It's always available. It's always 50%. And she's classic.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it is unpeated from Isla.
Thank you.
From Isla.
Yeah.
Unpeated. I don't think
Unpeated
I've ever had an unpeated from Isla. That seems to go with the Isla brand.
Yeah.
I might have to throw another little chunk of wood on here. We mostly just have.
Yeah, as a survival guy, this fire's hurting my soul right now, George. Like
I was gonna say
This is-
something.
I'm crying. Yeah.
Well, when you adjusted the wood there, I'm like, oh, it's gonna go. I'm gonna split a chunk here.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, that is good.
Yeah, it's
Unpeated from Isla. I didn't
Yeah.
think there was such a thing.
they do. Bruichladdich does do unpeated. They're pretty much the one on the island that does. But yeah, no, the classic laddie is a gorgeous. It's
very
always
good.
50%.
Yeah.
It's always available. And this is the one where I get to the you got your master distiller, your master blenders, your all the rest. If you're doing cask releases, limited edition, you taste a whole bunch of casks, you decide which ones you like, and you bottle that one. The blenders, the person that can taste whatever ingredients you've given them, and you give them different ingredients every day, and they have to make the same thing every time. That is a skill.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
the master blenders that can make, it doesn't matter which one it is, Crown Royal, Bowmore 12, Lafroy Quarter Cask, they're
Yeah.
trying to make it the same every time, but you're giving them different ingredients. That blows my mind. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how they can do that.
Yeah. This is very nice, very full body. I'm getting vanilla, oak for sure, and there's a nice round sweetness to it.
I'm kind of
The
Good
honey
mouth,
on top of the
yeah,
vanilla.
Good mouth feel on this thing.
I'm kind of torn because like I really like the Glenmorangie like as a general drink.
Yeah.
But if this is that available,
Oh, yeah.
this is really good.
And at 50%?
Yep,
Like,
50%.
I'm not getting the bite.
No, it's a very smooth, very easy drinking. 50%. Yeah, the
How many years was it aged?
they don't tell you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's
Oh, yeah.
basically the
definitely-
age statement. When they do tell you the age statement, it's always the youngest thing in the bottle is that age.
And what does the bottle cost?
Last time I looked at it, it's around the $100
Okay.
mark.
For Americans, this is Canadian dollars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Smooth.
Yeah.
and it's in
Very
the
nice. Very nice.
Bruichladdich aqua teal blue can. Always.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Scott, you had a couple other games. I got
Oh.
some more Would You Rathers too if we want to do that. But you had a couple other games.
Yeah. We got some near-death experiences to dive into. I thought we could do 2 truths and a lie. I've got a few here. I think George knows I've almost died more times than I can count. So you might remember some of these. So I'll give a few, and you can guess which is my lie here. Here we go. I nearly died trying to make a grilled cheese with a flamethrower. I nearly died building a giant volcano with gunpowder and diesel fuel on television. I nearly died making hand grenades with baby food jars and explosives.
Wow. And 2 of those are true?
2 of those are true.
Holy.
Now, nearly died, I don't like that because I think people are a heck of a lot tougher than we give them credit for. Let's go with I could have died.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, we got grilled cheese with the flamethrower, giant volcano with gunpowder and diesel fuel, hand grenades and baby food jars and explosives.
I don't know this one. Yeah, I don't know any of
No,
these stories.
I've never told you these.
No.
I'd like to take a stab at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's the baby food jar and the volcano.
Are the true?
The 2 truths. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Andrew?
I'm going to say one of the truths is the baby food jar. And now I'm drawing a complete blank as to what
The other was
one.
flamethrower and grilled cheese.
I'm going to go flamethrower and grilled cheese.
Is the true? Okay.
Yeah.
And George. So which is the false?
Which one's false? Yeah, I can't see you doing the flamethrower or grilled cheese. I'm going to say that one's false.
You are correct, my friend.
Yeah? Okay, nice.
Yes. That does sound fun, though.
It does, yeah.
I think later on tonight, let's give it a go. But true, I did build a giant volcano with gunpowder and diesel fuel on television. I actually had to do it twice.
What was
First
the show?
time I nearly lost my head. I was working for the Science Center. We had a show called The Ring of Fire. It was about
Okay.
volcanoes exploding, and the executive director asked me to build a giant volcano in the parking lot for the cameras. So we tested it out the day before, and I just took a ton of gunpowder and diesel fuel.
Yeah.
We got people to pile up a giant snow cone like 20 feet tall. We even had it painted like a volcano, stuck it in a pipe,
Yeah.
and got everybody to come outside. And this thing was great. Like the flames were sky high and everyone was applauding. And I said, no, just wait. The gunpowder's going to go off.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. The maintenance guy's like, Scott, your gunpowder burned off long time ago. There's no way it would have survived those flames.
Yeah.
So they all went back inside. The fire burned down, and I was pretty depressed because I was like, this should have really exploded. There was enough gunpowder to shoot a cannonball across the city. So I walked to the top of the volcano with a shovel, and I started poking the pipe with my buddy.
Yeah.
And where all the gunpowder was in, I'm like, I can't believe this didn't blow. And literally we talked about it for a few minutes, turned around, and the thing went off like a hand grenade, blew the top of the volcano off.
Jeez.
I thought I lost my face. I couldn't hear. And the windows of the Science Center were shaking so bad, everyone came running out. People came running from around the block. The executive director was so mad. Oh, is he pissed? He told us we were off the project, and then he came back later on and said, could you guys try it again? This time don't blow your faces off.
Yeah.
So we did it.
Oh, wow.
This time he put a rocket start in the gunpowder with a big battery, and it was beautiful, nice mushroom cloud like a nuclear bomb, and
Oh,
those
sweet.
big flames. But
I can't believe that. I feel like something like that should be more regulated. Like just adding gunpowder and diesel.
I thought you said regular.
Yeah.
This was back in the 90s. There was no OH&S. The stuff we used to do
guess.
is just crazy at work.
I feel like that kind of segued into the baby jar, or vice versa.
Yeah. So, again, working for the Science Center, we experimented. We did a fire show, so we experimented with spontaneous combustion. So you can mix, I don't know, should we be saying this on air?
Yeah.
Okay, if there's any children, pull them out of the room.
Not many
if you
kids
take-
listening to the Scotch episode, I don't think.
Yeah, kids shouldn't be listening to the Scotch episode. We took potassium permanganate and glycerin, and if you mix them together, it does spontaneous combustion, right? Which
Yeah.
is an old trick. So we thought, well, what happens if you seal it nice and tight in a baby food jar and then shake it up and throw it in the sky? And it makes great hand grenades.
Sounds like every single teenage story about playing with gunpowder that I've ever heard.
Oh, yeah.
But
And firecrackers.
a little bit of background. I actually did I used to be, I was a substitute teacher for a bit.
Yeah.
And but during my practicum, I had to take over a science class, and I had to cut a block of sodium metal, which is normally an oil, and so you don't expose it to water, right? Because it'll detonate.
Yeah.
And as I was cutting it, because I'm new and nervous and not knowing what I did, I accidentally cut it, but the full block went into the sink
Ooh.
instead of the demonstration piece that I was cutting off. And so my 5-second thought was just I hit the floor, right? And like all the kids are just staring at this thing, and luckily it was a steel basin, so it just blew straight up like all the water, and it just blew out all the ceiling tiles. They were all clapping. It was great for everybody else but me. And then I had to explain like why a practicum teacher almost like killed himself, I guess. But
That wasn't
They
supposed
loved
to
it.
happen.
They learned a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
day.
yeah, I learned that I don't like teaching science. It's probably a good idea since social was my major, but
You guys are electricians. You must have had some good shocks in your time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, as I joke with the apprentices through there that 347 tastes like peppermint.
Yeah.
probably the two guys to actually talk to about that, because I joke similarly. I've been shocked twice by 347, and I don't want to do it again, but
347. Tell me about it.
It's like lighting. It's more for like grocery store lighting and stuff. A lot of that kind of
Okay.
stuff's like 3, 4. Well,
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, the Route 3 is 600.
Yeah.
it's kind of a Canadian voltage. Like, it's kind of like something that we run a lot here, but it is getting into the amperage where, depending on what you're working on and how well grounded you are, it can stop your heart. So it's like it's the scary
Sounds
one,
like it.
right?
Good
like,
good amperage, like
well,
over 10 or 11 amps.
depends
or?
on where you are, and like I said, and like, are you standing on an aluminum ladder? Are you wearing your safety gear? Are you wearing your safety boots? Like
Jeez.
my 347 shock, I was on a carpet on a fiberglass ladder, wearing my certified steel-toed boots and wearing gloves. So it basically just kind of shocked me a little bit, right? But
And where did you feel it? Was it like a baseball bat?
My arm touched the edge of the lighting fixture that I was working on.
Yeah.
And the circuit was off, but the maintenance guy had come through, noticed that the breaker was off, and I didn't bother taping it.
Geez.
And he turned it all back on. And I just happened to be working on the light at that moment in time when it came back on, and I thought I was safe, so that's why I was leaning against the metal.
Yeah.
Right. And I definitely felt it a little bit. But because of where I was, I broke the contact immediately. So.
Wow. And Andrew, you've been hit by it?
I was working on a light. I phoned the apprentice and had them turn off said breaker that I was working on, and then I don't know, 10, 15 minutes later, 2 apprentices are trying to figure out where a circuit is, why a plug is off, so they just went back to the panel and proceeded to try to turn on and off every breaker that was in the panel to figure out when this plug goes off. And it's like, when I got hit, it was like, dude, like, I just had you turn that off. Oh, I forgot. Just like,
sounds like apprentices are like the most deadly thing on the job, man.
347, you remember it though, when you get hit. I was on a lift, and there was a BX hanging out of the ceiling. We were doing a Freshco, and I remember like the BX down there, and Ham said, "Hey, like, just go push the BX back in, like all the circuits are off and everything."
Ham.
I touched the BX and it was like, fine, okay, it's dead. I put my ticker on there, dead, and then so I fold the BX, and then it was just like, and I couldn't let go, and it was like 3 or 4 seconds. Like,
I'm amazed it
and
didn't stop
like,
your heart.
You're just kind of standing there, and then like for the rest of the day, this probably happened like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The rest of the day, I'm like, I'm sitting down, like I'm done for the day.
Wow.
Like,
exactly. You're just sitting there, and it's like, I'm good right now, but I'm not doing anything.
I can't move or think. I just want to sit here, and hopefully I didn't cook anything.
I did change light bulbs for the rest of the day rather than mess with ballasts after that zap too myself. Yeah, so I totally get that. I got a good ham one too, actually, to be honest.
Let's hear it.
It's the same deal. It's 347, and my ticker's going off like a Christmas tree. Like, it's beeping at me, and Ham's like, "It's dead," and I'm like, "It's definitely not dead, Ham. Like, I can tell there's voltage on this," and he's just like, "It's dead." So what I did was I just touched the wire to the edge of the box, which 347 makes a really loud, bright bang.
Yeah.
Right. And then of course it trips the breaker and everything goes out. And this was actually at the Freshco Palisades, so it also managed to trip the main breaker, like everything seemed to do in that place.
Yeah.
And so like all the lights went out, and Ham's just like, he's like, "What happened? What's going on?" And I'm like, "It was live. Like I told you it was." Right. And he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm fine, but I'm pretty sure all the lights are blown." Right.
Yeah.
And he was freaking out until I finally told him I just actually touched it to a beam. So I just tripped the breaker. But yeah.
Sounds pretty deadly.
Yeah, it's one of those things you don't want to mess around with because you get in the wrong spot. And
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of leads me to another one. I got 2 truths and a lie. I nearly died being struck by lightning.
Mm-hmm.
I nearly died. You can't answer any of these,
No,
George.
no.
I nearly died in a rock climbing accident.
Mm-hmm.
I nearly died in a snowmobile accident.
Wow.
Which is the lie?
I'm gonna say rock climbing.
Okay. How about you, Chris?
It's so easy to get murdered in a snowmobile. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like a lot of people have that story. The lie. I gotta find the lie.
Lightning, rock climbing, snowmobile.
Yeah.
I want to say lightning because the likelihood of lightning is so minuscule.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm going with. That's what I'm going with.
You got to be a weird person to be struck by lightning. How about you, George?
Imagine getting struck by lightning twice, then you're like super weird. I know this one. It's the snowmobile.
It's snowmobile's the lie, correct.
Yeah.
Although I've flown over the handlebars of my snowmobile, but it didn't feel like a near-death experience. I've been struck by lightning on the body, and my house has been struck by lightning, and I've had multiple close calls in rock climbing, but one that was really bad where I flipped upside down and nearly hit rock from a good height. And I think I was about 2 feet off the ground with my head almost hitting rock. So walked away from that one. But yeah, I have not almost been killed in a snowmobile accident.
You think
so.
lightning's worse than 347 then?
I've
Or
never
like which
let's
one?
try it out and I'll tell you.
Depends if you got your boots on or not.
I guess. Yeah.
Lightning was like a baseball bat. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. And it came, it sounds silly. I was walking to school with my buddy, and I had an umbrella, and the lightning came over the house, and it came down the umbrella with a wooden handle, like metal and then wood, right?
Yeah.
Right through my upper body and threw me across the road. But it felt like I'd been hit by a baseball bat, like just sort of that whack, right?
Getting hit by electricity, it definitely, like, you can't breathe.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
it feels like you literally
You're frozen.
can't breathe. You like,
Yeah.
in your case where you were
Yeah,
stuck
you
on
couldn't
it.
let go.
Yeah,
right?
couldn't let go. Just
It's like every muscle in your body contracts.
Yeah.
It's like what
Yeah.
it feels like, and depending on where you get hit and everything. So I could see that.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I can, because not hit with lightning, but had one. We were camping out in Manitoba, out north of Winnipeg, and watched a storm come across, and I thought this thing was way far away. So it's like, I got time to go to the washroom. I didn't. I came out, rain's going sideways, my awning is gone off my trailer, just tied it with the dog's lead to the tire, climbed inside, and at which point my wife, my dog, we're all inside the camper, and the wife's like, "Oh, you didn't turn off the propane." I reached towards the door, and like 6 feet outside the door into the ground, lightning struck, and it's like, don't care. Like, I'm here.
yeah.
Yeah.
I am not going back outside.
I have real respect for lightning. Like, my house was struck by lightning too, and now I really respect it. If I'm on the water or on the mountains and the lightning's coming in,
Yeah.
I know it's after me. I've had too many
Hunting
experiences.
for you.
Yeah.
What are some ways that, like, what should you do if you're in the wilderness? There's trees everywhere.
Yeah, you don't want to be under the tallest tree, apparently, right? I mean, you're electricians. You guys know this better than anybody. But electricity doesn't like to travel through air, so it can find an easier way to ground. That's what it's going to do. Boats on the water are tough because you're always the highest thing.
Yeah.
And I've been on lakes, big lakes, when the lightning storms are coming in, and you can't get off immediately.
So if you're a smaller boat, try to get near a bigger boat.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah,
I feel like that would actually increase your chances. We all know water conducts.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and they say, just take low ground and, curl up. Mountains are bad. I've been on mountain tops when you're mountaineering and your hair's standing on end like a electrostatic, what's that, Van de Graaff generator?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's that lightning's going to come anytime. So, just get low and pray to God it doesn't hit you.
Okay, I got to cleanse my palate. I want to have one more drink at least.
Well, we got a couple more here. Are we on to the Bowmore? I think we are.
Bowmore or the quarter cask? It's
Yeah,
your call.
I think Bowmore. I think the Lafroig's a little heavier hitting than the Bowmore. Maybe we'll go
Okay.
Bowmore next. And
Yeah, Bowmore 12 is always a nice one.
yeah, I love Bowmore.
Yeah, I put it on my list. That was I think, Andrew, you suggested this one to me, and my other buddy Ruben, who's been on the podcast, to do the Scotch. He said Bowmore's like...
But this is not a beginner Scotch. This is a little deeper water here. There's lots going on in the Bowmore.
Something you can find regularly at
You can
liquor
find
store,
it
though.
easy. Yeah, but it's not. It's
not
not a
breaking
light
the bank.
Scotch. It's an Isla, correct, Andrew? Yeah.
Define not breaking the bank.
I think this one, I bought it last night. I think it was like $62 for...
Yeah. To me, Bowmore is great bang for your buck and really good tasting.
Yeah.
It is one of my favorites, but I'm not buying $9,000 bottles. Either.
Yeah. It's definitely, like, out of all the ones we've tasted so far, it's got a little more... Is that peat?
Peat and smoke, little peat and smoke, but not overpowering.
Yeah.
It's still very balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's there. And just as a correction, just because I googled it, the classic laddie is about $80.
$80. Oh, that's
Yeah, so not the
too
100.
bad.
It's 80.
Yeah.
Classic Laddie's the
Alberta.
last one we tried, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, in the city.
yeah. Well, even here,
Yeah.
they've got it at whatever the liquor store in the Timberland.
Do they? I'm shocked.
Yeah, Andrew and
Wow.
Chris are staying in the Timberland too for a couple nights here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
5-star hotels.
Yeah.
Speaking of great electrical,
Yeah. Yeah, they show us some pictures of the electrical stuff. That is the one thing when you're an electrician, everywhere you go, you got to judge, It's like, well, who bent this conduit here? And what's
Yeah.
going on here?
Yeah.
And-
Bunch of apprenticeship people.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Bowmore is really nice.
Yeah, smooth, good. Andrew, can you tell us about what's the club, the New Whiskey Order?
New Whiskey Order.
Yeah.
We are an international group. It's on Facebook and Instagram, all the rest of stuff. You can look us up, and by all means join if you wish. Primarily, what we're trying to do, it's not entry level whiskeys that we're letting people try, but a lot of the higher end stuff. Before you drop $300, $400, $500 on a bottle, we can have a tasting. And you'll get an ounce of a bunch of different ones if you buy in for the tasting. There's no annual fee or anything else for the membership, but you get a chance to taste the whiskey before you make the determination if I'm going to spend a couple of $1,000s on a bottle,
Yeah.
or a couple of $100s on a bottle. Is it worth it?
Yeah. Man, we got to get a club like that going here, George.
This one is New Whiskey Order is online.
Okay.
It's usually on Zoom that they do the tastings. We also post them on YouTube afterwards. So if you can't make the tasting but you have the package, or you just show up because you wish to and you don't have the tasting package, by all means.
Elk jerky?
And elk jerky. And yeah, it goes through. And we've got members in the States. We've got members all over Canada. We've got a couple of members, I believe, in Europe. And yeah, we'll just go through and taste some good whiskey, enjoy company.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
I think the elk jerky is like my favorite accompaniment so far to whiskey drinking. I'm not gonna lie, like there's nothing that tastes better than elk. I'm not, like, as far as I'm
this
concerned.
just came out of the smoker. It dried a little too hard, so sometimes what I do is with the jerky, if it gets too dry, you stick a chunk of apple slice in the bag and it'll soften it up a bit. The dog is just going crazy here looking at that. Yeah, so this is the elk from last January, and I found out the best way to make jerky is use your jerky gun with your ground meat, so you're not wasting your nice steaks and roasts. And it's got a bit of zip to the aftertaste there. Some sriracha in there, and help yourself there, guys.
I've
that's good.
tried with the ground and doing the gun. This is very good. I have not managed to make it good yet.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm not quite there yet.
Without a smoker, though,
Mm-hmm.
can you do this in the oven?
Yeah. If
a
you don't have a
little low.
smoker, buy your liquid smoke, your hickory smoke, and just pour it in there. A cap or two full in your mix.
I was actually at the Canadian Tire, ironically, and I was looking at some of those Ninja food makers or whatever they got that are electric that you can use outside with wood pellets.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't know. I was actually going to ask you on this podcast about it, what you thought about that, because like I don't really want to buy a smoker. I'm not going to lie, and my barbecue's ancient.
Yeah.
So like I was like kind of looking at that, and I'm like, that looks actually kind of affordable, and I just really need an extension cord in the city.
Yeah, a lot of people
It's
like
true.
them. They're very regulated.
Yeah.
Something like that is pretty easy to use.
Yeah.
If you want to go super cheap, you get is it called Little Chief?
Big Chief.
Big Chief.
Yeah.
not Little Chief.
I think it's Big Chief.
But it's just a hot plate, and then you can chop your own alder. Most of the stuff you get in a smoker is alder, actually. Even when they say it's hickory, it's mostly alder mixed with hickory or oak or apple or pear or or cherry.
So you would chop your own. Where would I go?
Oh man, you could go down the road here and come back with 200 pounds of alder in no time flat. Yeah.
Where would I do it in the city?
Oh, well, you just have to come back here.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually pretty into that. So
Yeah. I'm gonna spend a little time out in
and
the mountains, Chris.
alder's great for smoking everything. Like salmon is smoked with alder chips. Yeah.
Yeah, smoked elk jerky and Scotch is like a
Yeah,
good
it's
combo.
a good mix, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this I think is some hickory smoke in this. And
both very backpackable.
yeah, exactly. Well, help yourself here, guys. We'll make sure the dog doesn't get any. Might have to give the dog one, eh?
I'll try some of the next tasting.
I got a little chunky cat. Kodak, you want to try it? He's into wild. Well, he might not be. I don't know. He's into it.
Oh, he's going to like it.
100%. He's gonna destroy that.
What about the sriracha? Is he going to like that? Or
I don't think he tasted it. I'm not gonna lie.
I got another
Engulfed.
a couple more near-death ones if we want to go for
Yeah,
it.
let's hear it.
I
Is this
near-
two truths and a lie?
Two truths and a lie.
Okay.
I nearly died drinking lighter fluid.
Hmm.
I nearly died eating a poisonous mushroom. I nearly died from a pack of wild boars. Now, George, you can't answer this to the
I don't know
last.
this one.
I'm gonna say 100% lighter fluid. I have a hard time imagining anyone ingesting that
Okay,
many
you think
labels.
The lighter fluid is a lie. What do you got there, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to stick with the lighter fluid as well. Boar is likely as long as you're in an area somewhere that has them, and yeah, I just lighter fluid, drinking it, just why?
Like, who would be so stupid, right?
Tide
George, how about you?
I've never heard you talk about boars before. I feel like it's the boars.
You think the boars is a lie?
Yeah.
Do you remember where I grew up?
They're wild boars in Germany?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
100% there are. And God, they taste good. I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie.
they taste great. Yeah.
Well, so was the lighter
Okay.
fluid the lie then?
No, none of you got it. I did almost die drinking lighter fluid, but to my credit, I was only about 3 years old.
Okay,
It was in a little container that looked very much like a Coke can or something at that
Yeah.
age, and I was rushed to the hospital.
Wow.
I was chased up a tree by a pack of wild boars in the middle of the night and survived that. But I didn't feel I could have. It was more of I could have died if there hadn't been a climbing tree. But it's
What are
not
wild boars interested in humans for?
They the males can get very aggressive,
Like they're just
and
in
they're
protective
they're
mode?
like tanks, and they're so
Very-
heavy and strong.
very
like-
very territorial,
Territorial.
and aggressive.
Yeah.
And like, they make sure you're done. Like,
Yeah.
like they
Yeah.
get like they're not just gonna like maul you and run away. Like
Yeah, and even if they get you with their tusks, there's so much infection that usually comes in that you succumb to your infection
Really?
later on
Wow.
because they're rooting through all sorts of dirty stuff.
Have you
in the
heard
bush.
anything about boars in Alberta lately? Like, is it still...
They're still around.
yeah.
Yeah, they're encroaching. I just hope I get to hunt some here.
Yeah.
That's
They are technically invasive, so
Yeah.
you can hunt them anytime you want.
Oh, yeah,
The
you get
biggest-
$70 for ears
yeah.
or something. Eh?
Yeah,
Something like that.
they'll give you the bounty on top of the fact that you can then go through and get your bacon and
Yeah.
sausages and everything else from it. The biggest problem I've always found is the few people that know exactly where they are won't tell you.
yeah. Everyone wants to cuss them out and say let's get rid of them, but then they're actually secretly happy that
Because they
have them,
taste so
'cause they
damn
taste
good.
So good. Yeah.
But I actually really want to try. Like one of the things I wanted to do is go down to like Arizona, Texas, where like they're a real problem.
Oh, yeah.
and try hunting them there because like they have legit tours like
Yeah,
for that
boar
to,
hunting
to
tour.
just go murder a bunch of boars because they're that bad out there. And like I don't know, maybe the American listeners can probably chime in more about it, but like honestly, it's probably something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Well, and here's a cool fact. Like, people know about feral pigs, right? Pigs can get loose and they're very tough. And if you give them enough generations, they revert back to a wild boar, which is fantastic, right? It's that whole genetics.
Yeah.
They start
To go-
growing hair and tusks.
It's
and-
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, generational, like within one or two, they revert back. But by attitude, it's not long to take a domestic pig, escape, out into whatever, and they're feral within a month. Like, you can't drag them back to the farm. Like, they're like, woo, I'm free.
Sure, who
And
wouldn't
off
be,
they
right?
go.
Yeah.
Can you
Whereas
blame 'em?
most other domesticated animals, they escape. They're not making it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
say the same with feral dogs. If you give them enough generations, they'll revert back to like a coyote, dingo, wolf type of body. Your dog here would do really well. He's really he's honing in on my elk jerky.
He is half coyote,
Yeah,
wolf,
he's half
dingo,
coyote.
I think.
Okay, I got one more.
Yeah.
I nearly died in a helicopter accident. I nearly died cliff jumping from 70 feet. I nearly died from a machete wound.
That's a hard one because, like, the machete wound is obviously probably, I'm hoping, not self-inflicted. To be blunt. Oh man, helicopter. I could easily see if you
helicopter accidents are just a random day waiting for it to happen.
Yeah,
Flying
that's-
brick, right?
Yeah, and oh man, that's a. I'm gonna say the machete accident. It seems like, well, I don't know if you encountered like
No one
some
would
wild
be so
crack
stupid.
addict or what, but like,
You did
like
machete?
that's the only place I could see getting
you
hit
did
by a machete in
so
Edmonton.
I'm going cliff diving.
I'm going helicopter.
Okay, George is correct. I did not almost die from a helicopter. I had a bad cliff jumping accident from 70 feet. I ran off in a cannonball and tried to straighten out. Landed on my back.
At 70
And-
feet, that's long.
Yeah, that's
Hard slap.
Yeah, it's like hitting concrete.
Yeah.
And the machete, I think George knows the story. Put a machete into my knee. I wouldn't, to say I almost died, I probably bled out at least a liter of blood on the top of the mountain, but I think you got 2 before you pass out, so I was still doing okay.
Well, tell us the machete story if you're not familiar with. Scott has told it on the podcast
It's
before.
embarrassing. Every accident's embarrassing.
That's exactly. That's why we want you to tell it.
I love clearing trail with machete because it's like a chainsaw that has no weight to it. So if you're clearing trail on the top of the mountain, you're not hauling up a big saw and gas and oil and everything, tools. And I was swinging the machete and having the time of my life, swung into a subalpine fir. It bounced off some branches and ricocheted off
this
into
one
my
again, Drew?
knee. Hit me in the knee, and it took me a few hours to get down the mountain. Bandaged it up with my first aid kit, my shirt, flagging tape. Had to drive with my left leg back to the hospital, and that was that story. So
I feel like that's the story for a lot of stupid accidents. Like you're like in your case, it was because you were isolated, but there's a lot of times where I've isolated myself because I did something stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like you're like, I don't want anyone else to be part of this.
That is like a good point and something we should talk about on the podcast is like, sometimes it's embarrassing. And so then you're like, you walk away and you go and like, oh, I got it. I'm fine. But maybe you needed help.
As an example through there, statistically, most people that die by choking is because they're embarrassed and they've walked away to the bathroom rather than, hey, I'm choking, give me the hits, and then they're hiding in the bathroom and die.
Yeah.
And it's like, give up.
I think men especially have a problem with this, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to get help just because.
Oh, exactly. It's like, I didn't 100% know the 3 truths and all the rest of the stuff, but so I didn't build one up. But it's like one of the times through there when, again, stupidity should have gone through there with sheep. So was up in Churchill on an EOD exercise with the Army.
What's EOD?
Explosive ordnance. So when the Americans and Canada, NATO, when we closed the base up in Churchill, all they did is just bury all the explosives.
That doesn't sound like the best idea.
No, it's not the greatest idea at the time, but this was the 50s.
Yeah.
So a lot of the explosives, Bomark missiles, all the rest, are coming up out of the permafrost.
Yeah.
It's being pushed to the surface. So a couple of times a year, Winnipeg...
Tree? Or inside? Yeah, you can go
Yeah,
downstairs.
they
Downstairs
turn
to the
around
left.
and we send a group of guys up, and they pile all the explosives that have been found, and they blow them in place. So a couple of us are up there. I went up as security, just as general duties, not on part of the OD team, just general duty to get like security around the outside. So we found out that, hey, to take the polar bear tundra buggy tour was like $500.
Yeah.
So it's like, screw that. The RCMP have a couple of quads that they've given us access to. Let's go find our own polar bears. So myself and one other dude jump on two quads, and we book it. A couple of hours later, we have no clue where the hell we are. Luckily, looking back on it, we have not found a polar bear. And as we're now realizing that we are lost. We have no clue where we are. We have no GPS. This is way beyond cell phones, like all the rest. This is back the 90s. The only thing is, from discussion, we've realized that the train comes up from Winnipeg, crosses it, hits like the Paw, and then crosses the entire province out to Churchill. So if you head south, so towards the sun-ish, you're eventually going to hit the train tracks. You make a left turn, and you follow those train tracks all the way back to Churchill. We made it back. Didn't find any polar bears. The next day, we're sitting there of why they have the polar bear jail in Churchill. Open our hotel room door, and there is a male in the middle of town, in the little park across, and these things are fucking huge. Like,
Oh, yeah. Largest predators on Earth.
yeah. So I'm just sitting there, close the door, and it's like, yep, nope, going that way. And went through the other door, and we booked down to the bar and just kind of hung out there because these things are massive.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, but it was all because we wanted to see a polar bear and didn't want to spend the money. We figured we'd go find our own. And glad we didn't.
Listen back a couple episodes. We just had Gord Stenhouse
George
on.
Stenhouse, fantastic episode. Yeah.
Cool story. He'd started off studying polar bears in Churchill, and then he started the grizzly bear program in Alberta here. So yeah,
He had a
super
polar
interesting.
bear in a shark tank with a rotting seal with him inside there.
Yeah.
So episode 61, folks.
It's amazing.
Tune in on that. That's fantastic. Yeah. We're gonna go to the Lefroy next. Now we're in the deep end. So we've started with the Singleton, which is probably the lightest of scotches, and now we ending with the Lefroy quarter cask. Andrew, you know this one well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. Well, if you don't mind pouring, I'm gonna read some of this here.
Is this a new one for you then, Scott, or is this a
Oh
regular
no, I've
one,
been
or-
drinking Lefroy for a long time. So it's a love-hate. People who hate it say it tastes like wet, dirty socks, chlorine, seaweed, tar, burnt rubber, Band-Aids, iodine.
Sold.
Yeah.
I love it. And I get the iodine and the Band-Aids and the
Burnt frogs?
sulfur.
Burnt rubber. Yeah.
Oh, burnt rubber.
So the people who love it also taste smoke, lemon, brown sugar, seawater. Oh, black pepper, vanilla, smoked pork, orange peel, salt, peat, dried figs, fresh pear, and pickled ginger. So the reason I like Lefroy is
quite the range.
There's a party going on in your mouth there. Like there is so much happening on the Lefroy. So you either
What's a
love it or
bottle
you
of
hate
Lefroy
it.
go for?
Yeah, I picked this one up for about $100 here in town, but
Okay.
you could probably get it cheaper in the city.
No, it's now around the $95 to $100.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's like too many people have figured out how to do it now. There used to be, because Alberta is private, liquor stores. If you're doing a drive somewhere, we used to stop off at every little tiny liquor store in the middle of nowhere, the tiny little town, because most of them had no clue back in the day of what they had in the shelf. So we had one, Mrs. and I were driving across, and we were just outside of Old Stidsbury, and we stopped this tiny little liquor store, and they had quarter cask, and they had it on for $48.
Wow.
because, and it hadn't jumped quite to the 100 yet now, but it jumped to about $80 everywhere else, and they had dusty bottles sitting on the shelf for what they got it from the AGLC years ago. So it was just sitting there.
Yeah.
So I bought the 12 bottles that were on the shelf because at $48, like, done.
Yeah.
I'm
I got
buying
the burnt
this.
rubber taste to it.
Yeah.
You got burnt rubber and Band-Aids and iodine.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of there too. It's pretty peaty for me, anyways.
It's very peaty.
Yeah.
I like it. There's a lot going on there. And here's something I do. I don't know if this is sacrilegious in the Scotch tasting, but I'll take a cheap Scotch and I'll mix it 50-50 with Lafroig.
Wow.
Yep,
And
go for
that
it.
way kind of mellow it out, but still get a bit of those tasting notes, right?
Yep.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
you can do that. You're just blending.
You're
your
not
own.
allowed to do that. What?
No, you can do. Once you've
You
bought
can do
it, and it's
whatever you
yours.
want.
Wow.
I don't know. There's some people that are all upset. You can do anything you want with it. Usually, the first tastings when I'm going through, I'll start to add water, and you'll dilute it down to like 15-20%, so you can catch all the different the different tasting notes and the different phenols that it's coming out at different levels. And if nobody can tell you what you can and cannot do with something after you've already bought it, I mean, look at a Honda Civic.
Yeah.
Once it's yours, sure,
Do what you want.
exactly.
So compare this to the Bowmore. Both are from the same island. Both have the peat, but the Bowmore is a little more
Bowmore's peaty,
peaty, but not as
but
not
this
as
one's
kicking.
more. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. As there's a
It makes my
reason
lips
why,
numb.
Yeah, there's a reason why I always have one of these open.
Like,
Yeah.
I enjoy it for the difference. Like, I don't know. I love a Negroni because it's bitter.
Yeah.
Right. But like, that's not a taste for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. And I enjoy the smoke out of it, but like, it's really strong by comparison, right? So like, and I find
Yeah.
that that's the thing that turns me off. It's the same reason why I'm not a big fan of Mezcal,
Right.
right? Because like that smoke taste, despite everything else about it, I love it. But that smoke taste, it just gets to me. And I feel like that's probably what turned me off from Scotch. But
And a lot of people think getting into it that Scotch is this peated. Because this quarter cask, if you're sitting inside and you pop the cork, your wife, girlfriend, whoever, boyfriend in the next room
Or all
is
three.
going to think that you just opened a campfire in the kitchen.
and that's what I'm getting at. Like to be blunt, there's a lot of people in my friend circle who I could never get to drink Lafroig.
Right.
But that one that you introduced earlier, like that one that I really liked there,
the classic laddie.
yeah, or
Yep.
the Glenmorangie or the
the-
Singleton,
yep.
any of those three would be extremely drinkable to anyone who typically is expecting that stereotypical peat.
Right. Yeah.
So also, just because Singleton's there, and Singleton has one that's always amazed me. It's a limited edition that comes out. Singleton has a release where they age it in the barrels on a boat that they sail around the world.
Oh wow.
That seems pretty gimmicky
That's
to
a
me.
cool. That's a cool concept.
It's a cool
but it is
concept.
gimmicky. Yeah, you're right.
It
It's
is
gimmicky. but-
Like 90% of everything that comes out of all of the liquor is marketing and gimmicky.
All I can think about is how much I want that frickin' job. Like, what are you doing? I'm just babysitting whiskey.
Yeah. I'm sailing whiskey around the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys
But-
ready for another two truths and a lie here?
Sure.
Okay, this is my last one. I nearly died eating a poisonous root. I nearly died when my scuba gear broke down in the ocean. I nearly died from hypothermia dragging a buck out of the bush. Two of those are true. One is a lie. We'll start with Chris.
I'm going to go the poison route,
'Kay.
only because I could easily see how scuba gear
break
failing
down.
could murder you.
Yeah.
And you seem tenacious enough to try and drag that buck out of there, especially younger you, who's like may or may not have almost blown his face off. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're meeting old mellow me right now.
Old mellow Scott who
Old
just drinks.
mellow
The
Scott.
wisdom. I can just see it. It's just coming right off you.
Yeah.
Don't do what I did.
How about you, Andrew?
I'm gonna go scuba
Scuba?
for the simple fact.
That's the lie?
That's the lie.
Okay.
Because of the fact I have now learned you're a foraging expert, so you should know what you can eat and cannot eat. And again, dragging an animal out and getting stuck slightly beyond seems plausible.
Okay. Wow, interesting. George,
Yeah, I'm
George, you
going
know
scuba
these.
too. I don't think you have you been to the ocean?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I
I
lived
used to live out
a
there,
decade
yeah.
on the BC coast, so I scuba dived a lot, yeah.
I've just never heard you
Okay.
really bring it up before. You always like you're the mountain man. You know,
The
Scott,
well goes
mountain
deep,
man,
my
wilderness.
friend.
Yeah, it's like, I can't picture Scott on the beach, but yeah, I'm going scuba too.
Scuba's the lie?
Yeah.
You are correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, scuba's the lie. But I did almost die from a poisonous root.
What was the route?
It was arum root in Germany. I was about 17 years old, experimenting with a lot of foraging. It's known as adder's root or a snakehead, and people have died from it. And it looks a lot like a plant called arrowhead. And my esophagus swelled shut. Couldn't breathe in the bush, but made myself throw up and gargled puddle water and
Oh yeah.
and pulled through that one. The hypothermia buck is a true story. Almost died dragging a buck out in minus 30 in Saskatchewan in a valley. And yeah, but I'm here. It worked.
Made
All
her
worked
through.
out.
And now you got to go scuba diving.
I do scuba dive.
Do you?
Yeah, but I've never had the stuff malfunction, so that's good. Yeah.
Andrew, I want to before we shut down the podcast, I want to talk a little more Scotch.
Okay.
Since we
Yeah.
got you here, the Scotch expert, is there a most prized bottle out of the 700 to 900? Is there one you're like, I can't wait to open this one? Or
There is. I'm not gonna say most pride, all the rest. I've got I think it's a 48-year-old Port Ellen
yeah,
that we are just waiting. It was purchased years ago when my wife started her PhD. She is now completed. She's doing she's finished her thesis and defense. Or sorry, rephrase that. She has finished her defense. So her thesis needed edits. So she's doing the edits right now, and then when it gets resubmitted, it'll go to the library, be printed, whatever else, and then graduate this December. So long as she can get the edits in by the, whatever it is, 15th of July. When she actually graduates and becomes a doctor,
yeah,
we're going to crack this
crack
bottle.
it. Oh, cool.
Now, that being said, we had a super old, super expensive bottle that we had put aside for her master's.
Yeah,
When we opened that was terrible.
terrible.
Terrible. Disgusting. Like, it was a nasty, nasty bottle.
So what made it nasty?
It was corked. It was
okay. So something had gone
over-sulfured.
sideways.
It wasn't balanced. It
Yeah.
was wrong. Like, you had to pour the glass, and then you had to leave the glass sit out for 4+ hours in plus 30 temperature for it to become even drinkable.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the things about Scotch is older means more expensive. It does not mean good.
Correct. Yeah.
So-
It's time. Time is value. Right?
Time is through the because it's, if you look at it, if you made 100 barrels on a given year, 50 of them became 10-year-old. 25 of them became 12-year-old. By the time you get up to 40, 45, 50-year-old, you're down to one barrel.
Right.
That one barrel loses 3% of its value, of its volume every year. So there might be 10 liters left in a 200-liter barrel at the end of 50 years.
Is the alcohol percent going up as it's losing the
Depends
volume?
on where it is.
Okay.
In Alberta, for example, the water evaporates, the alcohol does not. So the alcohol percentage increases. In Scotland, it tends to decrease. So it depends on where you're at. Like down the States, more alcohol will evaporate than water.
Yeah.
So if you drop below 40% in the cask, it's no longer whiskey or Scotch or bourbon or whatever you want to call it, depending on what country you're in. So it depends on where you're at, but it just becomes more expensive.
Yeah.
Not good. So it's like I've had a Macallan 50, and I'm glad I've tasted it, but it was oak. Like it was wood on wood at 40.2%. I'm glad I got to taste it. I'm glad I didn't have to pay for it, because
Well, some of the most Macallans are some of the most expensive in the world.
At $35,000 a bottle. I got to taste it. I'm glad I didn't have to pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bet you that would make some wicked screech, though.
It goes through. It's like I keep trying to tell, because my family's been growing grapes and doing wine for generations. I keep trying to tell people, it's like, if you enjoy whatever barefoot whatever wine and you like it and it's $30 a bottle, stick with it.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
If you do wine tastings and everything else, all it's going to do is take what you like and make it more expensive.
Yeah.
You know, so if you start doing everything, start to educate yourself in wine specifically, Scotch not so much, because there's not too much that changes the value of it. But yeah, if you start digging deep into wine, all of a sudden what you like is $100 a bottle, $400 a bottle, $1,000 a bottle.
Here's my theory, and tell me what you think. Whether it's rifles, binoculars, Scotch, anything that you hold a value, vehicles, you can push it to a certain degree. Let's say you get a nice rifle and you pay, I don't know, $2,000 for a really good rifle. But now you want the best of the best. You're going to quadruple that, but the margin of improvement is tiny, tiny. Same with binocular optics, right? You could get a pair of Nikons, and you don't break the bank, but you want a little bit better. Now suddenly you're going to have to pay 3 times the amount just to build a tiny bit.
It does
and
go
I
up.
feel with whiskeys are the same way. So you can get a fantastic whiskey for $100, and then if you really want to get something great, you're going to be shelling out a heck of a lot more.
Whiskey, I agree with you. At the same time, we'll disagreeing. Whiskey specifically, because the astronomical increase in price is going to be rarity by age or rarity by limited, like
availability.
Availability.
Yeah.
Is going to drive the price huge.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily change the quality. A vintage year for wine or optics, you are going to have an astronomical change in price for, as you were saying,
a small
the
increment,
tiniest little increment of quality.
Yeah.
Whiskey does not even specify the quality.
Okay.
They don't care the quality. It's strictly rarity that changes the price.
There you go. So
the fact that Two Brewers out of Whitehorse, which is a absolutely gorgeous Canadian distillery, by the way.
Yeah, I've had their stuff.
They have 37. They only made, I think, 42 cases. So they only made like 100 and something bottles of it. It's super, super expensive now because it's super rare.
Yeah.
Not stating, I mean, it is gorgeous. I absolutely love the one through there, but it's not stating the price isn't because of quality, it's because there's not many of them. And that's when you get to the Macallan 50 or some of the other ones, it's just how rare it is.
Right.
I kind of wanted to speak to your rifle analogy, actually.
Okay.
About
Yeah.
that, because like that's one I can actually chime in on.
Sure.
No one in my family, like immediate or extended, really ever did hunting or anything else like that. I got into collecting firearms when I was younger,
Nice.
and I happen to love lever action rifles. And I'll tell
Yeah.
you right now, the vintage Winchester shoots the snot out of anything that came after it, right? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like by comparison. And like I started shooting at a time when like trying to get the 1886, the 18 whatever was like nigh impossible, right? And like even the Winchester bolt rifles, like everyone will tell you the 70s one is better. But when I don't know if you can change your palate for whiskeys, like, you know what I mean? Like to the higher end whiskeys, like if you can learn to make your palate better or not after a certain age. But I can tell you that the $2,000 rifle might shoot well, but there's gunsmithing, there's other things you can do, and you can train yourself to be better at shooting, right? Like when I started shooting, I was terrible. Every rifle, the $700 rifle I shot outshot me. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like my skill level. And it took me years to get better with my old Remington 700 SPS heavy barreled rifle, right? But I just kept shooting because it's all I could afford,
Yeah.
right? And by the end of it, I do agree with you. Like I was a better shot with that 700 because of the amount of time I put into it than I would have been with my buddy's like souped up 300 Win Mag like collector rifle. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
a $4,000 or
yeah.
$5,000 rifle. But at the same time, I learned the basics that I needed, and I feel like the increment. I get what you mean by the incremental difference
Right.
as far as rifles and firearms go, but I feel like that's a tool versus something that's necessarily more. I don't know if I could ever retrain my palate to enjoy the higher end.
There's a little bit of art in whiskey, right? It's like
But there's an
to the eye of the beholder.
Everything.
Yeah, sure. Like when you say the Winchester, right? Winchester 3030, everybody loves it because it's nostalgia. It's not the most accurate
It is
firearm.
a terrible,
Yeah.
terrible round. I'm not going to lie.
It's fixed barrel, but it's a great bush gun. But you're not going to hit something at 600 yards, right? With the 3030.
Yeah, like not only that, you don't want to like really kill something. Like the risk of, in my case, the risk of hunting anything with a 30-30 because I wasn't a great shot was a good chance that I was going to leave a wounded animal in the woods,
Yeah.
right? Especially with my lack of bushcraft. So like in that scenario, yeah, like I had a 45-70. That's what I ran. I ran a Marlin 45-70.
Oh,
and-
really?
yeah, and
That's a kicking gun, man.
I was terrified that I was going to leave a wounded animal. I'm not going to lie. I'm a terrible hunter. I actually, turns out I'm really bad at shooting living things to the point where my buddies don't hunt with me anymore, but they love to go to the range with me.
Yeah.
Right? But I did love that 45-70 to death. But
Yeah.
I actually getting to shoot some of the older, taken care of Winchesters, not the ones that you found in your granddaddy's cabinet.
Right. Yeah, they're beautiful, beautiful firearms for sure.
But again, I'm kind of on the other side. Like I love shooting long distance on the range. I absolutely hate going hunting and you get somebody that's taken a shot at something that's 150, 200, 300 yards away because now I have to get that far and then find it and then track the bloody thing until you catch up. And it's like, no, I like, yeah, I see him. I'm not shooting him, like, because I have to get there.
My problem is whoever I went hunting with was usually a better hunter than I was.
Yeah.
So the reality was that if I took the shot, which they usually wanted me to do just to get me used to it, either I'd freak out and I'd miss, like I'd twitch, things that I wouldn't do on the range, right? Like stuff I
Yeah, a
wouldn't do
little
on
more
the,
instant pressure.
yeah, right, instant pressure. When I could just let him take the shot, get the kill, and we can both hump it out of the woods together, right? You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
I get my camping trip out of it. I get the fun, but I just hauled a 8-pound rifle through the
Yeah, and it depends what you're hunting. If it's a moose down in a deep coulee, just don't squeeze the trigger because,
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly,
especially
like-
if it's plus 20 because
and-
that meat's going to spoil by the
That's
time
an
you get
important
home.
thing too.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have known that if I just started out.
Yeah.
Like I found some good hunters to go with, right?
Right.
And like they wouldn't let me take that shot. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to, and again, it's experience and who you're with and all the rest. But you have to know, can I take this shot and get him? If you can't get him out, or he's down through a swamp, or he's the other side of
the
a
river.
swamp or a river, like, do not take that shot
Yeah.
because you can't get him.
Yeah.
Like,
That comes with experience.
It
You
does.
learn the hard way.
It's kind of like a weird thing too, right? Because like
Yeah.
you need the experience to know when you can take that shot. But like if you didn't grow up with that experience, or you didn't like that's in the back of your head, and that even throws off your shot, to be blunt, right? You know what I mean? Like that nervousness and whatever is, like I said, it's something I would never experience at the range.
Yeah.
What I was able to accomplish at the range is, like, I don't care if I was on a mountain shooting a sheep on the other mountain, right? I don't think I could do that just because
Yeah.
of that in the back of my head.
For sure. And you watch some of these guys shoot a sheep and it falls, 2 kilometers down a massive cavern. I'm thinking, how are you ever going to find it? And are the horns all shattered and the meat all bruised? But yeah, just because it's there doesn't mean you squeeze the trigger.
Yeah.
But Andrew, back to Scotch. Classic Laddie. I learned something new. This
Yep.
old guy learned something new. This was
it
great.
is, yeah,
Really
it's
good stuff.
about
Yep.
$80 in Alberta, and I love Laddie.
Yeah, my goodness, that might have been one of the favorites tonight. Good stuff.
Yeah. I'm trying to debate which one was my favorite now. They all kind of blend together.
Bowmore, for me, between Bowmore and Classic Laddie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% classic Laddie for me. I
Really?
actually really
Yeah.
like that. Like, I feel like I could literally offer that to like my girlfriend, and she'd probably drink it. So
she's down.
like, that's
Yeah.
like
Really?
that's kind of like, I know
Wow.
that's a weird
And that's at 50,
way to look at it. But
50%.
Yeah, it's
eh?
50%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. This
Yeah,
was
it
great.
was great.
Thank you. We had fun.
Yeah, I always said, Andrew, we got to come up and do a Scotch podcast because we've talked a lot of Scotch doing electrical work. So this is great. Great seeing you, Chris. Awesome.
nice seeing you too.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Scott, Northern Rockies Bushcraft on Instagram. Where are you paddling this weekend? Where are you?
Heading down the McLeod, doing
wow.
a couple nights, and
Bringing the gold panning
We're going to
equip-
gold pan. I bought
Nice.
some gold pans. We're going to
Perfect.
fish.
Yeah.
Take the shotgun so we don't get eaten, and
Yeah.
it's going to be a good time.
What's the
Yeah.
bottle you're bringing with you?
I don't know. I'm going to have to sneak a Classic Laddie here from Andrew before he leaves tonight.
Yeah, exactly. So Andrew, that club, the New Whiskey Order,
New whiskey order.
Facebook, Instagram.
Yep.
Check that out. Okay. We're gonna have another whiskey tasting podcast or Scotch tasting podcast in September if you're available to come up. Ruben's bringing. He's got a couple bottles. Ruben was on for the last one. He said he's got
Excellent.
a couple bottles he wants to bring special. So.
Well, and
you
I've
guys are all
pitched
welcome.
this before. I'm going to say it again. We'll take the hot tent in the middle of nowhere
Mhm.
in a blizzard,
Yeah.
get the fire roaring,
Yeah.
bring out the Scotch,
Yeah.
live on location.
I'm down.
If
yeah.
you're down for that, let's do it.
Tune in for the Wilderness Wavelength podcast. That's going to be happening. Also, we have beer koozies now too. I'll show you. We got them
Nice.
ready for us, and they'll be available at the next couple festivals we're going to. So, if you're listening to this and like what you're hearing, leave us a review. wildernesswave at outlook.com to get a hold of us. And until next week, stay wild.
Wilderness Wavelength.